Hey, welcome to Tough Guys TV. So this new video is going to be about hooking up the plumbing in our new kitchen for the sink. So let me show you where we are so far, and we're getting ready to take a run to the store to get what we need. And these are the parts that I took out from underneath the sink when we did all the demo. So I wanted to save what was here, mainly because we've got the aerator at the top, which I didn't want to have to buy that again. So hopefully I can reuse it. And then we've got the new fixture set in place now, just kind of test fitted to make sure it looked okay. Supply lines, Teflon tape. These are just the boxes and the instructions. And underneath the sink, the new supply valves that we put in during demo, so those are ready to go. And then the old drain pipe here. Now the old sink used to have two bowls, and the new one does not. So it's just a single drain. So it'll be a little bit different of a setup. And then the dishwasher, we still got to drill the hole through the side of the cabinet to get that done. So that's the goal for today, and now we're heading to the store. All right, so we're here at Home Depot trying to find our plumbing parts, and let's take a look at what we got. So we look for 1/2 inch. Come in closer so we can see. So coupler to connect this guy back to what's already there. Get one of these, and let's keep looking and see what we can find. So you have to stay. Are you already recording? You have to stay with me, like as I walk. You can't. Okay, so we need some 1.5 inch pieces for the part that goes underneath the sink. So this part would go into the old part, hook into the disposal like that. But this piece isn't long enough for what we need. So what we need is one of these assemblies here. They're not very much money, so I generally buy a couple of them. That way, if one of them doesn't have the parts that I need, then I have extras. So show you a good example of stuff you'll find at the hardware store. So you're trying to buy an assembly like this, and sometimes you'll find some that are in there that'll be taped shut, and somebody's torn it open to take out one piece, and that's what you do not want to get when you buy it, because you're going to be missing stuff. So look for the ones that don't have any tape on them. Okay, so I wanted to discuss one of the other tools that we have. It's made by Rigid, and it's a faucet and sink installer. So basically it's just a long handled, you could call it like a wrench, that allows you to reach up underneath when you have a limited amount of space this way to get to the nuts that are on the back of your faucet and accessories. So I pulled the sink back out just so we can get it hooked up correctly really quick. And you can see this is the threaded part that fits down inside underneath your countertop. And you've got your metal washer, a rubber washer, and then the locking nut that goes on the bottom. This is what we want to size up with this guy to make sure that we've got the right fit. And then over here you can see the hole that the countertop guys left for us there in the top. And then this is just for the soap dispenser. I can actually get this one by hand from underneath, so we're not going to focus too much on that guy. So the first thing we want to do is, here on these little stub outs, you want to hook up your supply lines. Normally these will come with this type of sink in the box, and basically they're just going to hook on to here, and they're marked hot and cold. And if you notice, there's blue and red on these to make your life easy. So I'm going to hook these up, and then we're going to lower this whole thing down in through this hole so that we can hook up the sink before we put the drain in, which would be super in the way. So for this next part, we want to use Teflon tape. It's pretty straightforward stuff. And you just tear off a little bit of this, and you wrap it around these guys to keep them from, allowing water to leak out once you get your connections made with the pipes. Again, people use it at different amounts. I just use a little bit. I feel like it gets seated really well on the threads before I make my supply line connections. So start off by just getting these hand tight, and then before I set it, I'll wrench them down just a little bit extra with a pair of channel lock pliers. Okay, now we're gonna get this thing set in place. So again, you just wanna generally feed one at a time so that we can get both of them to fit through. And as we lower it down, just go slow. Don't force it if something's catching. And then once you've got this set in place, this thing will generally hold on good enough until you can climb underneath and get it locked in place. So a little bit of a problem. Our supply lines don't actually go all the way long enough to reach the new supply valves. So we're gonna have to make a quick run to the shop and grab some extenders. Hey guys, quick note on the next section of this video. We were actually gonna edit this part out because we'd actually made a mistake with the length of the supply lines, but we felt that it was important to leave that in to show you what could happen and how you approach a problem like this. So the next part is us going to the store, using some problem solving, and then getting longer supply lines installed. And like I said, I wanted to leave it in to just show you what we went through and how no matter how many times you've done a project, you're gonna run into things like this. All right, Nowadays Hardware, let's go in and see if they have what we need. Okay, so I think I know what we need to get. We found some for dishwasher connectors. These are 60-inch 3/8 to 3/8. Our faucet is a little different. I ordered it online, so it has a 3/8 connection at the base of the faucet, I'm pretty sure. But just in case it doesn't, we're also gonna get some 3/8 to 3/8 connectors because I at least know the bottom of the cable is that. And then we'll use some supply valves to hook them both together.
Why are you using supply valves? Because they don't have
yeah, supply valves. We're using supply valves because they don't actually have you can come in here and look, they don't have a threaded out to out on two sides, like a double-sided, like I used before. So the supply valve should do the same thing. We just leave it open and then we can hook 1/3/8 pipe on either side of it here. So the first thing we need to try is we want to make sure the new supply valves that we bought are going to go onto the sink. We're gonna loosen these guys up just enough, and it looks like we're gonna be good. So let me get these 2 units installed and then we'll come right back. And one last quick note, since these new supply lines that I got, they're not marked in any way with the red or blue marks. So in order to know which ones, they came with these little zip tie things. I'm just gonna tie this around the hot so I know which one's hot when I get underneath the sink. All right, same thing as last time, much longer supply lines. So we're gonna get this thing fed in, and you can tell right away, these are gonna be quite a bit longer. So feed one through first, and then the second one through. And they're probably longer than what I actually needed, but for the sake of this, it was the only option they had at the store, and it's easier just to have some excess down there underneath so we can get these things installed. Okay, so the next step is to get everything hooked up underneath the sink here. We've got the new supply lines in, and we need to get one extra piece here. It's a valve adapter that will allow us to add the supply that goes to the dishwasher. Okay, so just to show really fast, I've already got the Teflon added onto these guys so you can see how they look. And now let's get them installed. Now with the supply lines, we've got the one that I tied this around to mark it as hot. It can feed into the top on this side, hand tight. And then our cold water supply will feed in over here on this side. All right, a little bit of trial and error, and we've got this guy all hooked back up again and ready to go. So all the water's on. Sorry for the awkward angles here. So you can see the soap is hooked up, and you can see our connections here that come through the bottom. They're actually hooked in, and it looks like here, at least preliminary, we are safe. So to test the faucet out, we don't have the drain hooked up yet, so just get a bucket, something, put some water in, and we want to just make sure when the water is actually coming out of the faucet that we're okay. And there we go. So it works. one thing has been a success. Okay, so the next thing is the distance here that I thought I was going to be okay with when adding the coupler and then adding my piece. This sink actually comes down a lot further than the old sink, so the distance of space I need is it's a lot less than what I actually have. So my plan is I'm going to go ahead and cut this underneath here, straight across, and that way we'll have the ability to hook the coupler on a lot lower and then hook on our piece, this guy, hook this guy back on, because right now I wouldn't be able to do it. I only can raise it about that far, and you can see this thing is quite a bit bigger than that, so let me get to it. All right, so we have success. We got that thing cut off, and now I'm just gonna clean up the edges of it so that we can actually get the coupler to go down on top of this thing. Okay, so the next part is, now that we've got that cleaned off, is to try to install the coupler. So generally you'll buy the purple primer and some clear cement. This stuff smells pretty bad, so if you're in an area where it's not super ventilated, you want to be a little bit careful there. But for the most part, this stuff it's pretty easy to install. Kind of see that you've got like a little felt tip on the end that's attached to the inside of the cap, and the purple stuff will stain just about everything. Sometimes the cap gets a little stuck, so again, those channel locks help make your life better. And the first thing you want to do is you just want to get the inside cleaned out, and there will be excess, so remember, it does stain. So try not to get this stuff on your clothes if you can avoid it. And we'll go ahead and clean the outside of the pipe that we want to put this onto as well. Some people may want to let this dry real well. Doesn't really matter to me. The cleaner dries almost instantly, and then you want to get that glue on there real good as well. Alright, so now we've got the piece that we want to hook back in. So we want to get it cleaned up, just like we did with the other parts. Clean the outside. The inside of the coupler is already cleaned, so that part doesn't really matter. We don't need to do that again. Get some glue here. And I'll also go ahead and put a little bit on the inside of this guy. There. And I want to try to line this up to where it's facing where I need to face. So we should be good about right here. So let that dry for a couple minutes. The PVC glue sets up pretty quick, so you want to make sure you're putting stuff where you want it to go when you're hooking it up, because if you're not, it sets up fast enough to where if you leave it for a few moments, I mean, this is already starting to set up, you're going to be in bad shape if you're not ready to get the connections made. So the next step is to hook up the drain assembly. I've already cut down one of these pieces here to the size that I need. This is the first turn of the trap. So you start by, you always thread these on fat side facing away from the direction that your pipe is going into. So you can see there as it kind of sits in place. And that's what you want. So we can screw this in a little bit. Don't need to get it super tight yet, because I still want this thing to move around. So then we've got this one ready to go. Okay, so jumping in here with a new disposal, if you'll notice. We ended up switching out the other one. It ended up not working, so I kind of going back in time a little bit to show when we're hooking up the drain. I had previously bought an extendable trap here, which in this case with the new unit, it's just simply not tall enough. So we're gonna be hooking up a new extended piece. So we're gonna get this hooked up. I'm gonna show you, first thing I gotta do is I gotta get this piece cut down to size. As you see, it's a little bit too tall. And then once it's cut, we're gonna get that part installed and hooked up to the disposal. Okay, so we've got the plumbing drain pipe cut down for size here to fit on. But before we put this on there, if you notice there's some threads. So the first thing we need to feed on is the locking nut and the washer that goes with that. So you want the skinny side facing down towards the end of your pipe. Oh, I'm going to put the nut on first, and that will hold that on there while you get the next part ready. And you want to do the same type of thing down here on the bottom, just like that. And you can see the washers on there. Same with up at the top. So prior to getting everything screwed together, this is what we're looking like. All right, that is a good amount of water, so we're going to shut this off, and it's holding water. So let's let this drain, and we'll check the same thing. We've got to poke a hole through the cabinet here. It's got a hole saw bit, pretty standard stuff. Success. So I need to put a couple extra holes through the cabinet because where our plugs go and the depth of everything, the dishwasher sticks out a bit. So we're going to use some flat electrical plugs here, and it needs to go through the cabinet so we can hook up the disposal as well as for the dishwasher both. So I'm going to cut those holes really fast. So here's those flat plugs plugged into the outlets that were here behind, and they route over and they go into the base cabinet. So that way our connections are actually inside the base cabinet instead of having to be back here. And that's something I've always liked because, or wanted to do rather, because it's sometimes really hard when you're moving appliances in and out to worry about how they're plugged in. This way we can make sure that's unplugged from inside the sink base. So let me get out of here and get this dishwasher hooked up. Okay, we went ahead and slid the dishwasher in place. I didn't want to bore you guys with that. It took a little bit of doing. We still have to get these little brackets screwed in. But as far as the plumbing goes, this thing is hooked up and ready to go. Up here is the switch control. We don't have everything hooked up yet. Don't want to freak out. It's good to go. We're safe. Down here, underneath, you can see those holes we popped to pull these power whips in, because that duplex plug receptacle box on the back side is so close to the dishwasher that I didn't want to have these plugs sticking out. So one of these is for the disposal, one's for the dishwasher. I'm going to tack them up inside the cabinet here after we're all finished. The actual dishwasher supply hose is in a really crazy spot. It's actually up here. So in reference, there's our sink in and the soap. And then up here is where I brought that in. And you want the dishwasher drain to be up high like that, as it links around and ultimately hooks in to your disposal. We have another video on this install, so check that out. But you want that up high so that any food particles that leave your dishwasher as it's draining will drain back in the dishwasher and not into your plumbing drain line system. So we've got everything hooked up. Water is working. We have water, we have soap. Got flowers on the counter. We're doing good. Success so far. Let's test some things out. All right, the dishwasher is draining. We didn't check that, we just tried it. It's not leaking. I win, you lose, I win. You lose, I guess we both win. All right, we are finally done with this sink project. The faucet is in, the water's working, the dishwasher is in, there she is, and everything is working really good, so we are super excited. Thanks everybody for watching. If you liked the video, click the like button for us, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on so you know when we post new stuff, and if you have any feedback for us, we'd love to find out. We're a new channel, so anything, love, hate, whatever, let us know. And we'll see you when the next project gets started. Thanks, bye.